Day of the Dead. Is it, lads?
Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is PixelRiffs, our writer is LoyXP, and we interrupt your Hermitcraft livestream day to bring you the news from the time before bees and Christmas. But before we get to the events and mishaps, there are just a couple of announcements we would like to make. First of all, it's the season of giving, and Hermitcraft's very own tinfoil chef has found himself in a bit of an IRL situation. He explains it in a recent vlog, but it's basically a choice between repairing his car or having heating over the holiday season. We don't do this often, but if you're feeling generous enough to chuck a couple of bucks in his direction for the years of entertainment he has provided, links to support TFC will be in the video description. And second, I'm spending some time away visiting family over the holidays, so there might not be a recap for New Year's, or there might be one with voiceover from LoyXP, depending on how on fire his day job leaves him. Russian holidays don't start till the 1st of January, guys. So let's hope the hermits start dropping soon, and then we can put a bow on this with a nice British accent.
Okay, yeah. And it darn near got me. This one.
No, TFC, the opposite of that. The new armor stand residents of Vault 6 have reacted oddly to the concrete powder they were given, so TFC does the sensible thing and starts mixing up their diets. Then, after patiently explaining that this is a vault he's been working on all season, not a Demise bunker, thank you very much, he literally walks right over a pressure plate during Demise and lives, my dude.
Well.
And now for a moment of science with your host PixelRiffs. Hi friends, PixelRiffs here. So, the traps at TFC's base are actually quite artfully designed. You've got some grey concrete powder and stone pressure plates to blend in with the surroundings, and he walks across this to get to the door. The whole thing falls away because it's got a TNT block underneath here that is primed when he steps on the pressure plate, is affected by gravity, as is the concrete powder. The sign breaks, everything falls down, and in theory, TFC takes full damage and then explodes. But what happens when we go into survival mode is a little bit different to that, because we walk over this, the whole thing breaks, we take the full damage, but then the TNT does not do any damage to us whatsoever. And it's all because the concrete powder falls on top of the TNT, and when the TNT explodes, it's inside that block of grey concrete powder, meaning that TFC is effectively shielded from any blast damage, which is lucky for him because he fell into 3 of the same trap.
Well.
After these minor setbacks, TFC carries on signposting the various rooms of his vault like nothing ever happened. We do actually lose a hermit, but perhaps not in the way that you think. iJevin, feeling like he's accomplished everything he's set out to do, decides to end his Hermitcraft 6 series with a promise to come back for Season 7.
You know, I made new friendships this season. I learned a lot about my video making skills and what I want to do moving into Season 7. I have gained a lot of you new to the channel. And again, guys, I gotta say thank you because it's been just incredible.
Before leaving, he puts together another shop suggested by viewers, a to die for colouring supply store, and lowers the prices at all galore in a very stock liquidation kind of way. So they remain standing in the shopping district forever, reminding people of that blue slime who mined all the diamonds and left so that nobody could have them. This will also make it a little difficult for BOO to wage war on him. But perhaps Mumbo Jumbo is about to become the new Diamond King of the server, not only because he's still alive in the tail end of Demise, but because he's got a new slime block tunnel bore he's itching to try out in the lands around his witch farm.
How cool is that?
Perhaps it's all a plan to get away from Cubfan, who keeps hanging around looking sinister and holding TNT. Or maybe it's just an excuse to build something that keeps blowing itself up so he can add points to his new spoon counter, which he's built on the inside of that hollow building he put together last week. Naturally, the first spoon moment comes when the spoon moment counter doesn't work correctly.
I've messed up my maths a little bit.
Technical mishaps also befall Doc M, and they're not even his fault. No, we're not talking about the bogus community strikes on his channel, which have thankfully now been resolved. We're talking about the pufferfish Izuma left inside Doc's raid farm. Presumably intended as a trap for the Doctor himself, it seems to have accidentally taken out an entire cell of villagers who were vital for the farm to function.
Fair enough. You want something then for your troubles.
Oh yeah.
Deciding that X will just have to owe him a favour, Doc gets more work done on the swirling mass of glass around the farm and builds elements of the UFO superstructure encasing it.
Holy crap, that is beyond epic.
Even if there are occasional interruptions of rogue TNT blocks.
What is going on? How can a man play Minecraft like this?
We're pretty sure it's not Joe Hills, as he's too busy in the far reaches of the server running from his would-be demisers and trying to repair his elytra by fighting zombies.
I should not be in the water. Dang it, my elytra engaged. This elytra will be the death of me.
For a man relying on shulker boxes for this nomadic lifestyle, breaking his ender chest is a huge setback, and a trip to Mumbo's blaze farm is a risk, but he manages it without getting set on fire for too long.
Hopefully this isn't trapped.
And if it seems like Joe's paranoid about being watched, it's because he records all his videos on a live stream anyway.
Right now, Cubfan has definitely been watching my progress, but I'm kind of terrified to poke my head above the surface because the second that there's any sort of recognizable terrain, I'm sure the folks at home will be assisting Concorp. Oh.
Keralis, in the meantime, is a bit more of a leisurely stroll guy. When he gets a bit too carried away with the aquarium in his bunker, so much so it takes the form of an entire room, Keralis departs on a tropical vacation to a coral reef. However, by now most of the server resembles a highly detailed adventure map, and he takes an extra episode off to just walk around and awe at things he wasn't here to witness, like the entire aquatic update, for example. A point of grief for him is the run minigame closing down, but as long as Zedaph adds a payout system, he might just find himself with a new hobby. Zed's RGB minigame is the wool randomizer we mentioned last week, now all dressed up and ready to go. Naturally, the first thing Zedaph does with it is let a Tango in for quality assurance. No part of the game blows up in their face, which is already a win given the server's recent history, but Tango may have to watch the Grim Reaper get up on the extra long cycle to get out those sweat stains.
No! You did. No, I'm doing it wrong again. No, I'm still wrong. Okay.
Are you sure you understand the game now?
Shut up, shut up.
Look at those blocks fly.
Ah, nope, nope.
It's really tough, isn't it?
It is tough.
Tango's own efforts are split between the two bases he's been given, the Fantasy District's Dragon Tower and the Dead Team headquarters in the swamp. Despite being expected to just mirror the head he's already put up, TangoTech chose to make a whole different design for the second dragon binding the entrance of his tower base. This one is much more purple and much more vicious looking.
More fangy and stuff. Like this guy's teeth are like, yeah, you know, that'll chomp you into bits, but they're just little teeth, you know. This guy's teeth over here.
As for the Dead Quarters, he's been tasked with building his own study and might have expanded a bit on every single corridor the first floor has to offer. Aside from the very intentional traps in the rooms, Tango made the passage to the next levels into a perception test. To find the right button, a visitor would have to locate several banners marked on the map in the map room, mentally add them together, and then find a banner like that in the corridor's side sections. The map itself is also a trap, by the way.
I didn't realise. I was getting closer and closer.
I was going to jump in there, and then I thought, if I was someone else trying to trap a Grian, what would I do?
On top of that, the corridor has several red herrings for passer-by adventurers, and just like in an early point and click, these will all kill you.
So what I did, I started trapping some of these other buttons. So if they just randomly start pressing buttons, they're just going to get splashed on. Bam, 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 bam. Honestly, I think that will kill them.
In slightly less lethal but just as terrifying news, Impulse SV has set up a torture room in the Dead Quarters where he's enacting cruel punishments on the remaining living members of the server, or at least armor stand effigies of them. Keralis is being shown a ceiling full of end rods, Doc M is being pulled in 4 directions by chickens, TFC is taking a relaxing break in manacles, B-Dubs is trying a radical new back hair removal treatment, and Mumbo seems fine. In a nice moment of tonal whiplash, the rest of Impulse's time is spent over at the Christmas district, where he signs up for this year's Secret Santa and promises to fix up the Build-A-Bear workshop in time for the holidays.
Like I said, a teddy bear workshop. And the teddy bear face is now a Zedaph face, apparently, because, I don't know.
Azuma is right there with him, but working on the golf course instead, meaning that any and all players for it will stay paranoid about the hoppers exploding back at them. Yes, a Christmas armistice might still happen, knowing this cheerful bunch, but tell that to a landmine. Back at the Dead Quarters, Azuma announces the reason as to why anyone would even want to intrude on the land of the Demised. The Book of the Dead from last week, it turns out, contains the details of all the traps placed on the server, and would certainly make for a great prize for someone who's still living. No clue as to how the updates to it will be provided, if at all, but one will surely need newer issues if Azuma's pufferfish and lava store in the Dead Swamp gets any customers. Across a literal pond, Good Times with Scar has been slaving away on his Franken-Scar mansion. Now planned to house a Scar reassembly contraption, essentially a respawning machine, this house of horror is at last done floating about menacingly. Scar props it up with some quality terraforming. Not sure how the squid heads help there, but it helps to have spare parts, I suppose.
And I cannot pass up the opportunity for that ink, especially when we need so much more for the backside of that roof.
The promise of treasure, meanwhile, lures in False Symmetry and Grian, who actually venture into the Dead Quarters before even being promised anything. The presence of the Book of Traps was not yet public when the two of them just barged into the Hornet's house.
Crouch. That was really stupid. They could trap anything, and it's like I can't help myself. The second that I see anything that I can press, pull, open, I have to do it.
Fueled by the sheer curiosity, the two of them successfully dodge every potion and every lava trap the mansion throws at them.
He looks like he hasn't eaten.
I was gonna say, he looks hungry.
He's hungry.
Feed him, feed him.
Are they starving you, Keralis?
They even make their way to the second floor, but it looks not ready to them, and the duo of Battle False and Guinea Pig go home, having left only some demeaning signs and an absolute mess on the doormat.
Bro!
Oh my goodness.
I knew it! I knew it!
This, it turns out, gave them just enough confidence to walk into their own demises. Turns out the Grayscales are much more generous with the TNT when it's not their own stuff they're blowing up.
We need some sort of chart here that's gonna show people how bro we've been. No!
Grian's fate catches up with him in the Dragon Bros headquarters. Much like Impulse SV and TangoTech before him, something goes off seemingly for no reason, and an unwieldy amount of explosives break through his armor, his totem, his face, and a sizable chunk of the meeting room.
No! 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 What the heck happened there? That ain't bro.
Wow. This place really took a beating, didn't it? Look at this.
We don't exactly know who rigged this up, or how for that matter, as no visible redstone really looked triggered at the time of the explosion, but a thorough journalist investigation of our experts concluded that a wizard did it. We do know, however, what led to False Symmetry's timely demise. Knowing of her work on the quarry in the medieval district coming to an end thanks to the livestreams, Cubfan135 had rigged up a temporary andesite pillar to blow up when removed. Utilising an indecent amount of TNT minecarts, since those can blow up instantly.
This is 27. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, wow!
Cub hooked the pillar up to an observer detecting the lowest andesite block. He even left a secondary, smaller and much more obvious trap rigged to a supply chest to create the illusion of safety once False easily dodged that one.
On what works and what doesn't. I didn't even see it. I don't think I knew it as I did it, I knew it! I'm gonna cry.
And just when she'd been given the full run of the Dragon Bros headquarters. Alas, both False and Grian swear not to hurt their dragon brethren even though they really should, now they have access to all their secrets. Also, BOO totally pulls a Starscream at their funeral, but we'll leave that to when he uploads his version of events.
In his death and loss, I vow to be the new leader of this group, and I will lead you with PvP, and we will take...
And finally, there's Cubfan. He made a diamond pixel art out of beacons.
We place it. Very good. Right down there. Turn it off. And yeah, there we go. The sound this thing makes when it turns on and off.
He uses it to signal to space that he has a lot of diamonds, because obviously he's already told everyone on the planet about it. And that's going to be it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixel Riffs. I'm already keeping bees in my Minecraft Survival Guide series, so check that out in the end screen theatre if you want to know what all the buzz is about. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.